Hi guys, I'm Marian from Will Read for Fields, and I am now at the book launch of Mina V. Esguerra's three new NA novels, Never Just Friends, The Harder We Fall, and Welcome to ND Park. So this is Mina V. Esguerra, so she's one of the biggest names in Philippine romance and chick lit, and now she's actually publishing new adult novels that are based in the international setting, particularly in the States. So she's published more than 10 novellas out in print and in ebooks. And she's also actually a teacher of romance class writing. So she's now in the middle of teaching, guiding aspiring writers to write their own new adult novellas. So Mina, thank you for joining me today. Really excited that we are now going to see these three books in print and in the bookstores in large numbers.
Yes.
And it's really interesting because you've been writing for a while now. How many years have you been?
My first published book came out in 2009. So that was a chick lit title, and that came out like more than 5 years ago by now. And I've been writing, I think, a little bit more and more since then.
Yeah. But one thing that we really noticed about your newest novels is they're actually based now in international settings, and then you have international characters too. So, what prompted you to have this shift from like mostly Filipino characters and always based in the Philippines to the international setting?
It started, a friend kind of dared me to do it. So it's a fellow author, her name is Marian T. She kind of dared me to get out of that comfort zone of mine, writing Pinoy characters. So she writes international setting, international character books. And she said, I think you could do this, you could just try it. And I said, okay, I'll try it once and let's see what happens. And it did well. It was released internationally, it did well. We got a lot of support for it. And then it kind of broke that barrier for me as a writer that I thought I couldn't write people who weren't Filipino. And then it kind of snowballed from there. And now I think, like I'm working on the fifth one now, the fifth US setting book now. So I'm trying to alternate US setting, Philippine setting books. So still trying to do it all.
Okay. So I was wondering, I'm sure that writing for the Philippine audience and for an international audience is very different. So what were the challenges that you faced and are still continuing to face as you write these international set books?
It's actually easier to write, like, only because the market is huge when you're talking about the world. It's just larger. So when you write a book that the characters are Filipino, the setting is the Philippines, there is a select number of people, and they're probably in the Philippines, who will be reading this or will be more likely to pick it up. If you write something that's a little more universal in experience, something it's a little bit beyond the setting. Maybe it's about a theme that more people in more countries can relate to. Then maybe more people are likely to pick it up. So the challenge there, though, is I didn't actually go into it separating my author, my identity as an author of Philippine chick lit and an author of books that are not set in the Philippines. So that's the challenge, I think, because some people who like my book set in the Philippines might not be used to the foreign setting ones, or the people who have read the foreign setting ones and thought that that was what I wrote. And then when they look at my catalog and then they see all these books set in the Philippines, then it kind of confuses them maybe, but it's not a huge problem. It's just a matter of giving your readers what they want. So I'm still discovering who my readers are. Yeah.
One thing I noticed in your NA novellas, the international ones, is it's racier. It's really more adult. How was it? How was the experience of writing?
A challenge for me personally, but I guess the great thing was I started writing those books when I was already married. So one barrier was kind of gone. The fact that I could actually openly admit to knowing all of this and being and able to talk about it, because sometimes the I guess the feedback that I would get, like if you're an author, is do you really know what you're talking about when you're writing romance? Do you actually have first-hand experience of these things? And I guess when it's about relationships, sex outside of marriage, it's not. It kind of becomes a thing whether the author knows about these things or not. Now, when I started writing NA, I was already married. That issue, it's no longer an issue. And then when I started writing more of these books, it became less of an issue writing sexy scenes. It was more of, yeah, it's only really embarrassing in the beginning, and then later it becomes, oh right, that was easy, or I didn't like collapse. Everything's fine. The world didn't end. So, and then it becomes easier and actually more fun to start planning these scenes and writing them.
I also liked how you feature different characters in different fields or different careers. Like in The Harder We Fall, you have this guy who's a rugby player, and then in Never Just Friends, of course, you have the guy who's an actor, and then the whole environment protection factor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you do the research for these books?
Well, thank you for asking that, because I really like that. I guess that's the thing. I really like writing about people who do things other than writing. So I don't find it particularly interesting to read about writers. Sorry, writers. but I like, for rugby, I actually wrote the story, the entire first draft, just on research online. And then afterwards, I had a friend introduce me to an actual rugby player, who then proceeded to tell me that I got a lot of things wrong. So, yes, exactly. So I had to go back. And change a lot of things, just little details, but those were things that wouldn't show up in the research, because when I was writing the story, my situation was very specific for those two characters. So it's not like I could Google what happens when this person who is from this background does this, etc. So it had to take someone who had been in the sport for a long time to tell me that, okay, that won't work. So I had to go back and but that person also gave me the solutions to this. So that was he played for the Volcanoes, the Philippine rugby team. So he was able to also give me solutions to the plot problems that came out. And then in Never Just Friends, which is set in the environment, the environment community. It's people who work in environment. I know people who work because of past jobs that I've had. I know people who work in environment and climate change, and this is something we talk about, like the very nature of the careers that are in the book is a little bit about what we talk about when you go to all these conferences, you meet all these people, and it's always like every year you see each other. It's like a reunion every year. You all work in the same field. You move from one organization to another, and you wonder if someone you become romantically involved with someone in that field, but stuff like that. But it's more of like just my group of friends from that career. We talk about it a lot, that we don't read about the romantic lives of people in this job, because no one else wants to write it, or the people who know it and want to write are too busy to write. So that was how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you enjoyed also the part about it being the actor like starring in a TV series.
Yes, because that happens. All these environmentalist actors or who become like the spokesperson of this organization. Yeah, I know. Mark Ruffalo, all of these people. It does happen that they'll get a famous face to help out their cause, and then it kind of gets the people who work on the ground excited, and some of them are annoyed.
How has the reaction been to these novellas of yours? Like, how have your old fans reacted to it, and have you gained like new fans? What do they say?
I think well, based on the feedback that I get, I think there are two different groups now, and there's maybe a small intersection of people who've read both. But there are a lot of new readers who've come in seeing only the international stuff, and maybe they don't go and read the Philippine stuff. And then there are Philippine readers who probably find the international books to be a little too racy for their tastes, and then they just stay they just stay with the YA or Philippine setting stuff. So that's perfectly fine. I don't know though if because even for me it was an adjustment. So I'm sure that even for readers it was an adjustment for them as well. Yeah.
But what can readers expect from you now in the future? Like, do you have any works in progress? Any new like characters that we would be looking forward to?
I'm writing the fifth international setting book, so that's those are two characters who appeared in The Harder We Fall. They're the roommate and the best friend, so they actually have their own book. So I'm writing that. I'm about to finish it, and I kind of have a project that's been going. It's been going on for years. I keep doing the research, but I never write it, because if I do write it, it might end up being like a political dystopia romance type thing. So
Very different.
yes, it's very different, and I keep stalling on it because it seems too out of my comfort zone. But I keep going back to it every now and then. So that's something that I'm doing, and maybe we'll actually write.
Oh, but we're looking forward to seeing that, because that's going to be something really different coming from you, and that's going to be cool. So thank you again for joining us, and can we ask you now to invite the readers to pick up their books and also follow you on social media?
Yes. Hi. Thank you for watching this interview. Thank you for checking out my books. If you're in the Philippines, they'll be in National Bookstore and Powerbooks under Anvil Publishing Spark Imprint. They are, there we go, Never Just Friends, The Harder We Fall, and Welcome to NV Park. And they're also online on Amazon, Buko, iTunes, Kobo, Barnes & Noble, wherever you like to buy ebooks. They're probably there. And and there will be more new adult stuff from me. Thank you very much. If you are into social media and actually want to read my thoughts on various topics, I'm at Twitter. I'm on Twitter at Mina V Esguerra. I'm also on Facebook, Mina V Esguerra. Just search for it, and Instagram, Mina V Esguerra. Thank you.
And of course, don't forget to keep tuned to our blog. That's www.willreadforfeels.com for more reviews, author interviews, and other cool book-related posts. Also, follow us on Facebook. So that's facebook.com/willread4feels. We're also on Twitter. So that's twitter.com/willread4. That's number 4, feels. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just search for us. That's Will Read for Feels. Thanks again, and hope to see you again next time.